Hello everyone, my name is Miss Ashley from Fibo Kids Art Academy and welcome to another amazing art class. Today we are going to be drawing a project inspired by the artist Bob Ross and in celebration of Armed Forces Day. Bob Ross was a famous artist and art teacher and taught people how to paint realistic landscapes. He was also in the Air Force at age 18. He began to develop his quick painting technique on work breaks while in the Air Force. During his time, he saw snow, and that inspired many of his snowy mountain paintings. Today, we'll be creating a landscape inspired by Bob Ross. For list of supplies, be sure to check the description of this video. Before we do get started on our project though, I'm going to go ahead and read you a book about Bob Ross. My little squirrel friend, Peapod, needs a new home. He keeps dropping pepperoni in my hair. But we looked high and low, and we can't find the right one. Wait, I have an idea. Now then, let's have some fun. We'll use blue to paint the sky, and then we'll use white to make happy little clouds that just float around and have fun all day. We can use a painting knife too, which is like a regular knife, but you use it to paint, not to make sandwiches. We use the knife to spread a mix of blue and brown and crimson to make mountain tops. Then we use a paintbrush to make the mountain bottoms. It's just that easy. Let's use green and blue to paint a meadow before he gets to the bottom. Phew! Peapod's quick stop makes some of the paint go splat. Oops! Well, that was a happy accident. Don't worry, Peapod. We can do whatever we like in our world. Let's use even more green and blue and some brown and even some yellow to paint a whole forest of trees and bushes. Here's your bravery test. Peapod, add more blue, and now there's a pond. Isn't that fantastic? I knew you could do it. How about a few more trees and bushes and grassy things? Let's just look at that and enjoy it. I think we're finished, don't you? Now this is a home for my little squirrel friend Peapod. And not a bad spot for me too. Happy painting. All right, so now that we've read that book and know a little bit more about Bob Ross and his squirrel friend Peapod, who would actually sit in his pocket while Bob Ross would paint, we're going to go ahead and get started with our landscape. And also in honor of Armed Forces Day, we're going to be adding an airplane for our creativity. So we'll go ahead and just put this aside so we can get started with our practice draw. I want you to make sure that you're using a pencil, but I'll be using a Sharpie so you can see my lines. Make sure that your paper is horizontal, which means side to side. And you're going to find roughly the middle of your paper, but you're going to scooch down just a little bit and draw a straight line from the left to the right. And then we're going to add our mountain by going up and then down. Make sure it's not too pointed on top. I like to make sure that it's a little bit rounded. And then we'll do the same thing on the left side, up, then down off the page, and same on the right side. I'm making sure that this mountain's just a little bit shorter than the one on the left. Then we do need to draw that stream, and how we're going to do that is we're going to curve out, in and out, and again. And that's actually it for our practice draw. If you need to go back and rewatch those steps and how to make those mountains, you can go ahead and do so. But I am going to put my practice draw aside so we can get started with our final draw. Our final draw, we're going to add those happy trees and some clouds. But before we do that, let's make sure that our paper is side to side, which means horizontal. And we're going to draw that straight line. Remember, that straight line is not in the middle of our paper. It's just a little bit below the middle. right, and then I'm going to go in the middle to draw my tall mountain by going up and down. Then on the left side, I'm going to go up and down. And on the right side, up and down. Make sure you leave yourself enough space right there for your airplane. Now before I add that stream, I'm actually going to add some bushes first. I'm going to start on the left side in this area, and I'm going to draw some rainbow curves going around, both on the left side and the right side. Because we're going to draw that stream, but part of our bush is our blocking that stream. So let's go ahead and go underneath our mountain, our tall one. I'm going to draw a curve out, over and out. And same thing again. All right, now we do need to add those happy little trees that Bob Ross would normally say. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw 4 triangles. Our first triangles are going to be in this area here. So maybe watch me first before you draw those triangles. I'm going to draw an upside down V with a line. And then 2 straight lines for the tree trunk. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to draw in this space right here, so we will have to erase. I'm going to draw that upside down V with a straight line and 2 straight lines going down. So if you notice, we do have those lines inside of our tree. So we need to make sure to take our eraser, and I'll show you in red marker. We need to erase those lines right there. Now that we're done with those 2 trees that are farther back, we're going to draw 2 more trees that are a little bit closer to us. So I know for a fact that you will have to erase. We're going to draw an upside down V with a straight line. 2 straight lines going down and connect at the bottom. We'll go back and erase those lines in a bit. Let's draw our other tree first. So we're going to go on the right side here. Now I'm going to draw an upside down V, straight line, 2 straight lines going down and connect. So if you notice, we have those lines from the ground and the mountain. We do need to make sure that we are erasing those lines. So I'm going to erase that line, this line, and this line. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add a cloud to my sky by drawing a rainbow, letter C, backward C, and a U-shaped curve. All right, now remember, because we are honoring Armed Forces Day, we're going to be drawing an airplane. How to draw that airplane is you're going to draw a long slanted rainbow, slanted line left, up, slant, and down. You can go to the other side of that airplane wing and curve that line to connect to the back of the airplane. But we do need to draw that other wing. So I'm going to go down and draw that curve. And that is it for our final draw. If you want to go ahead and take a moment to decorate your airplane in any way, maybe you want to add some windows to it by drawing some circles, you can go ahead and do that. But when you are done with your picture, make sure you check to see if there's anything that you need to erase. If you want to add an extra cloud or two, you can go ahead and do that as well. But when we are done, our picture should look something like this. So here is my picture drawn only in pencil. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pencil aside because I no longer need it, but I'm going to keep my eraser handy. And I'm going to go through and outline my entire picture. So let's go ahead. We're going to take our Sharpies, making sure that cap is on the back. We're going to outline our picture. Hold low and go slow. So just going through and outlining. And don't forget the windows to your plane if you added those. And take your time to outline your picture. And as you are outlining, check to see that you did erase any of those lines that are possibly inside of your trees. Remember, we had to go back and erase, so we don't want to add those lines because we want our trees to be green. And take your time with this step. There is no need to rush. All right, just about halfway done outlining. If you're still outlining by the time I finish, no worries, you can always press pause on the video. All right, and keep outlining. And don't forget those bushes. And my string. So check to see that you outlined everything. All of your lines are connected. Check to see if there's anything that you may have possibly missed. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my Sharpie aside because I no longer need it. I'm going to take out my eraser and erase any pencil lines that I possibly see on my paper. All right. Again, take your time to erase those pencil lines. We no longer want to see them. All right, and there is my picture all in Sharpie. So I'm just gonna go ahead and brush off those eraser shavings because I don't want those on my paper. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take out our markers. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to color the farthest trees that are away. Now, when things are farther away, not only do they start to lose their detail, but they also get lighter. So we're going to be using our light green. I'm going to put that cap on the back, and I'm going to outline using my light green and filling it in with those long strokes, top to bottom. Now do the same thing on this one right here. All right. And then I'm going to put that away. And I'm going to take out my green because these trees are just a little bit closer to us, so we need to make sure that they are darker than the trees behind. So I'm going to take my green, put that cap on the back. I'm going to outline. And after I outline, I'll fill it in with those long strokes, top to bottom. As you are filling them in, make sure that there are no white spots. We want those nice, happy trees. You're going to do the same thing to this tree on the right. Fill it in. While we still have our green in hand, and again, if you're still working on those trees, you can always press pause. We're going to color these bushes right here using that same green. So we're going to outline those bushes and fill it in. So use those long strokes. And same with this side, outline. And then fill it in. And long strokes really help to make sure that you get your entire area. When you're done with that, go ahead and take out your brown because we do need to fill in our tree trunks. It's a small area, so we can't forget them. Take your brown and fill those in. I'm going to take my light blue next. And what I'm going to do is I am going to outline only the bottom of my cloud. If you have more than one cloud on your picture, make sure to do this to all those clouds. And again, I didn't fill in those clouds, I only outlined the bottom. So make sure you're being extra careful as you outline those clouds. Next, we're going to be coloring our airplane. For your airplane, you can choose any color that you would like. In my previous example, I have a blue plane. However, I think today I'm going to be using a yellow plane, or yellow to color that plane. So I'm just going to take my yellow with the cap on the back. I'm going to outline and fill it in. All right. If you have any of those small designs on them, like windows, don't forget to fill those in too. So I'm going to use red to outline and fill in the tops of the wings and the back of the plane. And then I'll use light blue to fill in those windows. That is our last step with our markers. If you're still working on any of those areas, maybe you're still filling in some trees or bushes or that cloud, or maybe you just start on your airplane, no worries, you can always press pause on that video. I'm going to go ahead and put my markers aside, and we're going to take out our oil pastels next. I'm just going to slide them out of the box. And what we need to do is we are going to be adding some branches to our trees. I want you to take your green, and what we're going to do is we're going to add some slanted lines on both sides of the tree. if those slanted lines do go out a little bit of your triangle, no worries, that will just make it look more like branches. And you'll do the same thing to this side. Remember our slanted lines on both sides because we want these to look like pine trees. All right, and when you're done with that, you're going to take your yellow green and do the same thing to these trees here. So slanted lines. Using those short, hard strokes to add those slanted lines. All right. Now remember in the story that I read that Bob Ross added some yellows and ochres to those bushes. We're going to add some yellow and ochre as well. We're just going to add some dots to those bushes. You can make them big, you can make them small. I'm adding some dots. And make sure you're not tapping like this. It won't do much to your picture. You really do have to go in and draw a small dot and fill it in. So right now I'm using yellow. I will switch to my tan gold color, but let's just go ahead and use the yellow first. All right. I'm adding that all over those bushes. Then you're going to take your tan and do the same thing on those bushes again. So we want a different variety of those yellows and golds. Just keep adding them. Doing a great job on making sure you're filling those circles all over the bushes. All right, if you need to take a moment to finish those up, you can press pause on your video. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our blue. We're going to outline along our river. I'm going to take my blue and follow that line as close as I can. If you need to go back just to make sure you do, you can go ahead and do that. Take your time with this step. And same on this side. Remember, using the medium blue, or regular blue, I should say. But take your time with this. There's no need to rush. After you've added those lines, you're going to add more lines on your stream. Be a river or a stream. I'm going to call it a stream today. You're just adding those short lines. All right. Now the next thing we do need to do is we're just going to add some dots that are going to be flowers on our grass. You can choose any two colors that you would like. I'm going to choose red and we'll go with red and pink today. But you can choose any two colors that you would like. I'm going to start with my pink and I'm just going to add a few dots here and there. You can add as many as you want. In my sample right here, I added them all over, red and blue flowers. But I'm going to be sticking with pinks and red today. You can add them wherever you want on your picture. You want just a few. If you don't want flowers, that's okay. You can always take green instead and add some grass. That is up to you. I'll take my red and add some more flowers. We have two more oil pastel steps after this. So make sure to not put those away quite yet if you are done adding those flowers. I'm just going to add some flowers. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put that away. I'm going to take out my green, and I'm just going to add a line underneath these two trees. This is our tree's shadow. Good job. Then what we're going to do is we are going to be adding snow to our mountains. Now we're going to be using a white for this. It is tricky to see that white on your white paper. So no worries though, because we are going to be using watercolors over those mountains. So what we need to do is we're going to take our white oil pastel and we're going to pinch and pull side to side, only in our mountains. So be extra careful that you don't use it on your sky. You can do this to all your mountains. And I'm pinching and pulling side to side. And if you're not sure if you got the entire area, otherwise you can always go back and add some more lines. If you want to hold it like a crayon and add some other lines, you can do that as well. But go ahead and take that moment to add that white on your mountains. Again, right now it looks like it's invisible, but once we add that watercolor, it will start to appear. All right, now that we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and put away our oil pastels and take out our chalk pastels. For our chalk pastels, we're only going to be using one color. You can choose if you want to use light blue or regular blue. I'm going to go with my light blue, and I'm going to pinch and pull on my sky. Again, you can choose light blue or regular blue. I'm just going around my plane and around my clouds. Then I'm going to put that away. I'm going to take one finger or two fingers. Don't use your whole hand. And I'm just going to gently blend that sky. I'm going around my clouds, making sure to avoid my mountains. If you do get a little bit on your mountains, no worries, because we are going to be using watercolor. And so it should cover it. All right, I'm getting as close as I can to that airplane and that mountain. Just keep blending. Try to blend as best as you can. You don't want to see any white spots in that sky. Really make sure that you're blending that chalk pastel. If you need to add a little bit more, you can, but just try your best to spread what you have on your paper. And that's going to be our only chalk pastel step, so you can go ahead and put away those chalk pastels, because now we're going to be moving to watercolors. All right, for my watercolors, we're going to be first painting our mountains. You can use any shade of blue or purple for your middle mountain. I'm going to choose my darker blue, or my regular blue, excuse me. We're only painting the middle mountain. Remember, we're not painting all three of them. I'm going to take my regular blue, but you can choose any shade of blue or purple. And I am going to paint my middle mountain. And as you can see, your oil pastel should start to appear. Make sure you're spreading that color as best as you can, whether you're using blue or purple. Make sure you're spreading that color. And don't forget to get under your trees as well, but don't paint on your grass. And Remember, don't paint on the other mountains, only paint on the big one. All right. If you need to go through to make sure you spread all that color, make it dark enough, you can go ahead and go back and do so. I'm just going to go through. Sometimes that blue just doesn't want to be dark enough. So I'm just going to go through and you can start to see the snow on the mountains. For the next mountains, you can choose any shade of blue or purple that you have not used. So because my middle mountain right here already has this blue, I cannot use that blue for the other two mountains. So you can choose any shade of blue or purple. I'm going to go for purple. I'm going to paint that mountain with my purple. I should be able to see that oil pastel appearing. All right. And same on this side. So there are those two mountains. So you should be able to see your oil pastel. If it's still a little bit tricky to see, no worries. You can always wait for your picture to dry and then you can add more white oil pastel over it. But I can see quite a bit of my mountains and that snow. So I'm just going to leave it as is. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking any shade of blue. It can be any blue that you'd like. I really like the turquoise blue right here, so I'm going to use my turquoise blue. And I'm going to paint my stream. I'm getting as close as I can to those lines. I'm adding that blue color. I really like the turquoise blue, especially for water. But you can use any shade of blue. You could use blue green, you could use regular blue. That is up to you. I'm just going to go back and add another layer. All right, there is my stream. Now I'm going to be finishing my picture by adding the grass. You can, excuse me, you can choose any shade of green. You can use yellow green or regular green. I really like the yellow green, so I'm going to take that and I'm going to paint my grass very carefully because you don't want to get any of that watercolor on your marker. So don't put it on your bush or your trees. Be extra careful as you spread that yellow green or regular green around your grass. As close as you can to those trees. Take your time. There is no rush whatsoever for your picture. Keep spreading that yellow green. Getting close to my river, making sure, or stream, excuse me. Just make sure you don't paint on top of that because we already painted it blue. All right, gonna make sure to get this side as well. I'm going around my tree and my bushes. There we have our beautiful landscape inspired by the famous artist Bob Ross, who had a pet squirrel named Peapod. And there's our landscape. Your pictures may still be wet, so make sure to just have it to the side drawing. Don't forget to clean up your area, whether you've got a lot of chalk dust or watercolor. Make sure to clean your area and also clean your hands as well, because we are done with our picture. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a lot of fun learning about Bob Ross and that he was in the Air Force. And again, please post your pictures online. I know I say that a lot, but we love to see them on our Fibo Village page. So please post your pictures. We would love to see them. And we will see you next time. Bye.